Congratulations, you no longer have to work for a living. What are you doing with all the extra free time? The first thing I did after winning $2.8 million was kneel in the dirt to pull weeds for a 73-year-old woman. Not the massive jackpot you see on TV, just enough to never work again if I was smart about it. After taxes, I had about $2.8 million. Invested properly, I could live comfortably forever. Everyone expected me to go crazy. Buy a Ferrari, travel the world, party every night. Instead, I did something that shocked everyone, including myself. I became obsessed with my neighbor's garden. Martha was 73, lived alone next door, and had the most incredible vegetable garden I'd ever seen. For 5 years, I'd rush past it every morning on my way to work, barely noticing. But on my first Monday of freedom, I found myself standing at her fence, actually looking. "You're up early for someone who doesn't have to work," she said, startling me. "I guess I don't know what else to do," I admitted. She laughed. "Well, these tomatoes aren't going to stake themselves." That's how it started. I spent the morning helping Martha tie up tomato plants, and for the first time in years, I wasn't thinking about emails or deadlines or office politics. I was just focused on the task in front of me. "Same time tomorrow," she asked as I was leaving. "If you'll have me." Within a week, I was spending entire days in that garden, learning about soil pH, companion planting, the difference between determinate and indeterminate tomatoes. Martha taught me that gardens aren't just about growing food. They're about patience, observation, and accepting that some things are beyond your control. "You can't rush a tomato," she'd say. "It ripens when it's ready." My family thought I'd lost my mind. "You won the lottery and you're playing in the dirt?" my sister asked. "You could be in Bali right now." But something about the garden felt more real than anything I'd done in years. Every morning, I'd walk outside and see actual progress. Seeds I'd planted were becoming plants. Plants I'd cared for were producing food. It was the opposite of my old job, where I'd spend months on projects that might never see the light of day. Then Martha had her stroke. I found her collapsed in the garden on a Tuesday morning, unconscious next to the cucumber trellis. Her pruning shears were still in her hand. The blades sunk into damp soil, like she tried to brace herself. A single green bean pod, split open from the fall, clung to her sweater. The ambulance came, but the damage was done. She spent 3 weeks in the hospital, then moved to assisted living. The garden was abandoned. I stood at the fence, looking at the tomatoes beginning to wilt, the weeds already starting to take over. Without thinking, I climbed over and started watering. That night, I called Martha. "I'm taking care of the garden," I told her. "Don't worry about anything." She cried. I thought it was over. 40 years of work, just dying. Not on my watch. I spent the next 3 months learning everything I could about preservation, canning, and seed saving. Martha guided me over the phone, talking me through harvest times and storage techniques. Her nephew helped me convert part of her garage into a proper preservation space. By fall, I'd harvested 200 pounds of tomatoes, 50 pounds of beans, countless peppers, herbs, and squash. I canned everything, following recipes Martha had handwritten decades ago. My kitchen looked like a small grocery store, but here's what I didn't expect. I couldn't eat it all. I had enough preserved food to last years. So I started giving it away. First to neighbors, then to the food bank, then to anyone who'd take it. I'd show up at Martha's assisted living facility with jars of pickles and tomato sauce for the residents. Their faces when they tasted Martha's secret recipe for pickled beets. It was like I'd given them a piece of their childhood. The next spring, I bought Martha's house when her family put it on the market, not to live in, but to expand the garden. I ripped out Martha's pristine lawn with my bare hands, the same way she'd torn open my life, one stubborn root at a time. I tore up the entire backyard, built raised beds, installed irrigation systems. I turned the property into a small farm. People started stopping by. "Can I help?" they'd ask. Retirees, teenagers, stressed out office workers who looked exactly like I used to. I'd hand them a shovel and put them to work. Now, 3 years later, I run a community garden that feeds 200 families. We grow everything from heirloom tomatoes to exotic peppers. People come to learn, to work, to escape, to connect. We have volunteers from 8 to 80 years old.